Are we ready? We shall begin. On this day, Wednesday, August 14th, 2013, at 10:34 a.m., a meeting of the Committee on Administration of the Board of Commissioners of the Chicago Park District is being held in the 8th floor boardroom of the Administration Building located at 541 North Fairbanks. Will the Secretary please take a roll call?
Yes. Chair Vice President Armstrong. Vice Chair Commissioner Lavelle.
Here.
President Robert.
Here.
Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Koldak.
Here.
Quorum is present. Let the record reflect that General Superintendent Michael Kelly and First Deputy General Counsel Timothy King are also in attendance.
The meeting will please come to order. Item number 1 from the General Counsel, authorization to enter into a collective bargaining agreement with the Building Trades Coalition unions. Becca Ryerson, please.
Good morning, Commissioners, General Superintendent. I'm Becca Ryerson, Deputy General Counsel, and I am here to present the board letter asking for you to authorize the General Superintendent to enter into a collective bargaining agreement with the labor organizations that are members of the Building and Trades Coalition. Of the district's approximately 2,700 year-round employees, just over 300 of them are members of the unions that bargain with the district as a part of the Building Trades Coalition. The coalition is comprised of 23 of the district's 27 unions, and the represented locals are listed on the board letter you have in front of you. Essentially, the coalition represents all Chicago Park District locals with the exception of Local 399, SEIU, and the chorus and orchestra members for the Grant Park Music Festival. The district's tentative agreement with the Building and Trades Coalition unions is a 5-year agreement spanning from July 1st, 2012 through June 30th, 2017. The negotiated changes were on issues of wages and employee health care contributions. 180 of the employees who are represented by coalition locals are in job titles for which the district pays the prevailing wage. These are traditional trade titles such as carpenters, motor truck drivers, positions of that nature. This wage is approved by Cook County for work done in this locale, and the district pays that approved rate. For the remaining employees represented by locals that are part of the coalition who do not have prevailing rate job titles, the district negotiated the following wage increases. 2%, which would be effective retroactively to March 2013, when the district reached the tentative agreement with the coalition. 1.75% effective January 1st, 2014. 1.75% effective January 1, 2015. 1.5% effective January 1, 2016. In addition, in 2014, the employee contribution for health care or health insurance will increase by 0.25%. In 2016, we included reopener language pertaining to health care, so we'll be able to negotiate additional changes to health care contributions at that time if necessary. Are there any questions?
So, Becca, this is 6.5% over the 5 years?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I would just to clarify for the commissioners as well, this is for non-bargaining unit prevailing wage. The normal prevailing wage of a carpenter or a tradesman, that's actually set by the state board on those wages. That's beyond our control.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I'd like to add for the record is anybody here from the coalition?
Not that I'm aware of.
I would like to thank Tom Ryan and his team through the negotiations. Labor negotiations are never easy. I did think they came to the table this go around with an understanding of what the climate is in Illinois and what the climate is at the Chicago Park District. And I'm proud to say that a fair deal was struck, I think, on both sides.
This seems very reasonable.
Okay, just a quick big picture question. So you said this accounts for 300 of our Park District employees?
It's 300 of the coalition employees, or I'm sorry, 300 of the employees which comprise the unions that negotiate as part of the coalition.
And
right?
SEIU is how many?
SEIU is about 2,100 employees, and then non-union amounts to about 260 employees.
Okay, and the status of the SEIU contract?
It expired December 2012, the end of December 2012, and we're currently in negotiations with them. I don't know that we're anywhere close at this point.
Thank you.
Will entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Vice Chair Commissioner Lavelle.
Yes.
President Robert.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Koldak.
Aye.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Thank you.
Item number 2 from the Director of Cultural and Natural Resources, authorization to enter into a contract for street sweeping services.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Swerner?
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. It is recommended that an order be entered authorizing the General Superintendent or his designee to enter into contract with Illinois Street Sweeping, LLC, to provide street sweeping services across the district. This may seem like a simple responsibility, but it is, quite frankly, across our 40 parking lots and portions of the lakefront, a do or die. So after July 4th, the parks and the parking lots are filled with debris. And it is essential that this service be provided. Otherwise, our staff has to sweep it, pick it up by hand. So this saves a great deal of time. The 2-year contract initial term is for a value of $277,891.56 with 4 1-year options available. And this would be across Central, Lakefront, North, and South regions. Any questions?
How does this compare to what we've paid historically?
It's about $17,000 more than the last contract, which expired early this summer and was from, I think, Ernie, 4 years ago? 4 years ago. So it's actually given costs related to fueling and equipment and labor a reasonable increase.
Is this contract in full compliance with our MBE and WBE participation rules?
It is. 25 and 5.
Okay.
We have a member of the public who would like to address the board if there are no further comments.
Sure.
Mr. Jackson or Mr. or Mrs., I'm not sure. Jackson Blue?
All right. There you go. If there is no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call from the prior matter.
Is there a motion for that?
So moved. Second.
Okay.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Okay. Item 3 from the Director of Cultural and Natural Resources, authorization to enter into a contract for rapid response tree care services.
So it is recommended that the General Superintendent and CEO or his designee enter into contracts with 3 tree care companies. They are the Care of Trees Incorporated, Nature's Trees Incorporated, and Winkler's Tree and Landscaping Service for rapid tree care services. And these are divided, this contract is divided into 3 contract parts. There are A, B, and C listed in your board letter. And I'd like to go through each of those categories to explain them in some detail. So Category A is storm cleanup. And as those of you who have been part of the board for a while now will know, we have had over the years a series of storms across the Park District. I think the most recent one was in 2011. But since 2006, we've expended about $2.5 million, and that was done under emergency authority by the superintendent and the board president. And we are now, at this point, ready finally to have a contract in place for these services. So if there is a storm event, which thankfully this year we did not experience, we'll have a series of contractors who are ready to go with prices that are pre-negotiated and a commitment to serve the Park District. So storm happens, we call the tree care companies, they're there the next morning. And the value that we have associated with this is a not to exceed amount, depending upon requirements, of $2 million per contractor for the initial 2-year term, with the knowledge that we've never spent more than $620,000 for these services in any individual year. So that's Category A. If there are any questions, I'd like to take them by category, if that's possible. Okay.
Okay.
Category B is for Dutch elm disease management, and that is related to our 635 or thereabouts 70-plus-year-old elm trees in Grant Park. They represent an important fabric of the city. They are our front door, our Versailles. And in early 1900s, contaminated wood came over from Holland. And by 1960, tens of millions of elm trees across the United States were wiped out. We are lucky that our predecessors treated all the elms, and we now have a population that's probably the largest of a collection of elms across the United States. So this service will allow us to inject fungicides, to remove trees when they are diseased in a moment, and to do trenching between tree root zones so that the fungus doesn't travel between tree to tree by root. So that's category B. The category, the only successful bidder for that was Care of Trees, and that is for our initial term cost of $600,000. We have never spent more than half that in a year, so $250,000 a year. So we imagine that we will never exceed that $600,000 amount for that initial 2-year term. And the third category, category C.
Quick question, category
yes,
B.
Please.
So if we just saved our money and took our chances, what would happen to those majestic elms?
So we traditionally lose between 8 and 36 elms a year. We are getting better and better at being more efficient with our management through contractual support, and we have been losing 1 to 5 a year for the last couple of years. Elms, all of the elms will die within probably 10 to 15 years if they're not treated. And as they have left, as they've been removed, we've been replacing them with Dutch elm resistant elm trees, because we believe that the fabric of Grant Park is dependent upon that arching structure of the trees. So the answer to your question is they'd be dead.
Okay, and then the resistant elm trees that we're planting, that's the great story about Leroy Oaks. They found one that survived, and they've cloned it, and
you
did
perhaps
some
know
other
more
things
of
with
this
it.
than I do.
But has that? Do we treat those resistant ones, or we don't treat them at all?
We do not. They are resistant. The whole point here is that we want to remove the ones as they die and replace them with ones that require much less attention.
Mm-hmm. Now, we found Care of Trees in Wheeling. Care of Trees is a Wheeling company.
They are, but they are actually owned by Davey, which is a nationwide company, and they have presence across the United States. And they have done this kind of work for us in the past.
Okay. Now, I noticed that there's a Wheeling company, a LaGrange company, and a New York company. Is that New York company, do they have a Chicago office?
They do.
Okay.
They actually bought, I think, 2 companies within the Chicago area, including Autumn Tree Care, so that they have a Midwest presence.
Okay, thank you.
And category C is related to tree and woody plant health care, and that is, again, an initial 2-year term with each of the contractors with a not to exceed amount of $2 million per year. This is related to the fact that we have 28 full-time forestry staff, and we have 30,000 ash trees that will be dying over the next 5 to 7 years. You've probably seen them in the parks as you've driven through. And in order to keep up with the removals of those trees, we need to be able to hire contractors to assist us with that work. Those ash, we have not planted ash for a good 8 years because we've known that this was coming. There are 40 million ash that have been lost in the Midwest. We know that we're going to lose these 30,000. The city is going to be losing a portion of their 90,000, although they're treating many. But we want to have this contract available according to funding available from the budget to remove them as they die.
What are we replacing the ash with? Elms too?
So we've had a very active tree planting program for 8 to 10 years now. We've planted between 1,800 and 2,500 new trees a year for the last 8 years. And where we know we're losing ash, we've been planting young trees near them because we knew that they'd be gone someday. So we actually plant about 100 species of trees across the district, 60 species of shade trees. So we have the capacity in our mixed forest to almost not even notice that the ash are gone.
So are the ash going to be pretty much extinct?
They are, until someone finds an ash tree that is not vulnerable to emerald ash borer like they did for the elm tree. But at this point, there isn't any.
So Adam, what I've read about ash is that most people think that they're goners no matter how much money you spend and what you do. And it seems that the Park District and the Forest Preserve are taking on that. It's just we can't do anything. The city is approaching this in a different way,
yeah.
And I guess they have a bit of a different problem in that if they did nothing, our parkways would be just barren, right? Because so if we lose ash within a park that has other trees, it's a little different story. But they are making a real effort. Is that not right on the parkways?
They are. So there are streets that are block after block ash, solid ash, and it would become a desert if they were removed. And so they are injecting some of their ash with a chemical that actually kills the young emerald ash borer and prevents them from doing their damage. We have chosen not to spend that dollar year after year after year after year because it's not a good investment. And quite frankly, most of the ash trees in the parks are not good-looking trees.
Okay.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Shalaby has joined the meeting.
Are there further questions on this issue? If not, then we'll retain a motion.
So moved.
If no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call from the prior matter to this matter.
Thank you.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Item 4 from the Treasurer, Ordinances authorizing the issuance and delivery of not to exceed $50 million in general obligation limited tax park bonds, Series 2013A, $90 million general obligation limited tax refunding bonds, Series 2013B, $3.6 million general obligation unlimited tax refunding bonds, Series 2013C, and $50 million general obligation unlimited tax refunding bonds, Harbor Facilities Revenue Alternate Revenue Source, Series 2013D.
That was
Ms.
a
Evangelista?
That was a mouthful.
It was.
Good morning, Commissioners, President Trauber, and Superintendent Kelly. My name is Cindy Evangelisti, and I'm the Acting Treasurer for the District. There are two ordinances before you this morning for your approval in connection with the issuance of approximately $194 million in bonds. The first ordinance authorizes the issuance of 3 series of bonds. General Obligation Limited Tax Park Bonds, Series 2013A, an amount not to exceed $50 million, which will fund a remainder of our 2010 and 2011 capital improvement program and also pay for a portion of the 2012 and 2013 capital improvement programs, as well as to pay capitalized interest and the costs associated with the issuance of the bonds. In addition, the ordinance authorizes the issuance of not to exceed $90 million general obligation limited tax refunding bonds, Series 2013B, and the issuance of not to exceed $3.6 million general obligation unlimited tax refunding bonds, Series 2013C, for the purpose of refunding certain obligations of the district. The authorization of refunding of certain obligations of the district will achieve a net debt service savings for the district for over the life of the bonds. All the bonds will be sold through a negotiated sale through the underwriters, and the interest rate on the bonds shall not exceed 6.5%, and the maximum maturity date shall not be later than January 1st, 2038. And it's my understanding that we're going to have that the board will have to adopt the ordinances separately. So I'd like to take a moment to recognize the members of the finance team who have been working on this transaction. So if the representatives could please stand as your firm is announced. Bond counsel is Kent Much and Rosamond. Co-bond counsel is Quinteros, Prieto, Wood, and Boyer. Underwriters counsel is Burke, Burns, and Pinelli. Co-underwriters counsel is Green and Letts. The senior underwriter is BMO Capital Markets. Co-senior is Loop Capital. And the rest of the syndicate team is Mesro Financial and Cabrera Capital Markets. The financial advisor is Acacia Financial, and the bond registrar and escrow agent is U.S. Bank. I should note to the board that in connection with the issuance of these bonds, we have been downgraded by the rating agencies. Moody's downgraded the Park District from a AA2 to a AA1 with a negative outlook. S&P reaffirmed our ratings of a AA plus with a stable outlook, and Fitch ratings dropped us by 2 notches from a AAA to a AA with a negative outlook. However, we are still the strongest credit other than the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. Do you have any questions?
I do. What is the basis for the downgrade?
The basis for the downgrade is our issue with the Park District's pension, and that we share a tax base with the City of Chicago and the Board of Education and Cook County and the state of Illinois, and that we reside in the state of Illinois.
Well, we can't do anything about any of
No,
those.
we can't.
We're going to secede from all of that.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. Shall we take a motion on the first one? Which would be?
That would be the ordinance authorizing the issuance and delivery of not to exceed $50 million general obligation limited tax park bonds, Series 2013A, $90 million general obligation limited tax refunding bonds series 2013B, and $3.6 million general obligation unlimited tax refunding bonds series 2013C. Is there a motion?
Before the motion, just for the record, I need to disclose Catton Muchin represents my firm, and I just need that on the record.
Okay. Duly noted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
We'll take a roll call vote. Vice Chair Commissioner Lavelle,
Yes.
President Trobert,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Koldyke.
Aye.
Motion carried, and the ordinances are adopted. And then we'll do the second one, which is ordinance authorizing $50 million in general obligation unlimited tax refunding bonds, harbor facility revenues, alternate revenue source, series 2013D. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
If there is no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
No objection.
Motion carried, and the matter is adopted.
Great, thank you. That brings us to item 5 from the Chief Financial Officer and the Treasurer, an amendment to the Chicago Park District's investment policy.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners, and General Superintendent. Before you this morning are 2 items for consideration that are interconnected. The first is the investment policy of the district, which I am recommending several changes to, and second, an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Chicago Office of the City Treasurer. First, the district's investments policy includes a statement that it should be reviewed annually. The acting treasurer and I have performed our review and requested a few changes as follows. In Section 3, our policy allows the district to hire private money managers to invest some or all of our monies. I respectfully request we insert "and other entities" so that governmental entities with similar qualifications can be used as well, which we'll discuss later in regards to item number 6 on the committee's agenda. In addition, I'm requesting that we allow for a longer maturity period for the Long-Term Income Reserve Fund. As this fund is a long-term in nature, we should be able to capture increased return by going out a little further on the yield curve, which would be no more than 5 years without board approval. In Section 10, our policy requires collateral at 110% of our deposits. Under current standards, this appears excessive and costly. We've reached out to our sister agencies and other governmental entities, and most of their policies provide for either 102% or 105% of collateral requirements. So we feel 105% is sufficient. In Section 11, once again, we request that the maximum maturity for the Long-Term Income Reserve Fund be set at 5 years. Any questions on the changes to the investment policy?
So Steve, you said we're voting on to include other entities, and you're going to tell us about other entities later. But can we hear about them before we vote?
Sure, you got to. So agenda item number 6 is an intergovernmental agreement allowing the district the authority to enter an arrangement with the city treasurer of the city of Chicago to provide what I would characterize as back office investment functions regarding investing a portion of our monies. So we currently have our monies invested in money markets and certificates of deposit. And we feel that utilizing the city treasurer to assist us in investing our monies in a more diversified portfolio, using their broker-dealer agreements, using their ability to bid out investments, as well as leverage their software for tracking our investment performance of our investments, I believe that we can increase our investment earnings significantly, and it would not be as costly as using an outside private money manager. And so that's the basis for the agenda item number 6.
And you'll do that at your discretion, right?
Correct. We would work with the city treasurer to determine what investments should be purchased. We would have the approval to determine the final say in what investments are made, and then the investments would be held in a depository in the Park District's name. So they would be registered with us.
Okay, but just as a separate government entity, we are entering into this, and we still have control, and there's just efficiencies. That's why we're doing it.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to hopefully improve our investment earnings and reduce our costs associated with that, and be able to leverage their abilities that they already have in place. Similar to as government has done in other situations, such as maintenance of our fleet, where we use the City of Chicago's fleet services to repair and maintain our vehicles.
Thanks.
Are there further questions? Then if not, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Will the secretary call a roll?
Vice Chair Commissioner Lavelle,
Aye.
President Trubert,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Koldeck.
Aye.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Thank you. Item 7 from the treasurer, adoption of the 2013 annual tax levy ordinance.
Good morning again. I'm Cindy Evangelist, the acting treasurer for the Park District. I'm requesting your approval of the 2013 tax levy ordinance. The district's empowered by Section 19 of the Chicago Park District Act to levy a real estate tax. The ordinance set before you includes the dollar amount and the purpose of the 2013 tax levy. The levy ordinance is similar in appearance to our 2013 annual appropriation ordinance, which was passed by the board in December of last year. The total amount of the 2013 levy is $261,010,657. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Are there questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
If there is no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
That concludes the Committee on Administration. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those against, hearing none, motion is carried. Committee on Administration is now adjourned.
On this day, Wednesday, August 14, 2013, at 11 a.m., a meeting of the Committee on Programs and Recreation of the Board of Commissioners of Chicago Park District is being held on the 8th floor room of the Administration Building located at 541 North Fairbanks. Will the Secretary please take a roll call?
Chair Commissioner Shelby,
Here.
Vice Chair Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Salgado, Vice President Armstrong, President Trubert.
Here.
Quorum is present. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Lavelle, Commissioner Koldeck, General Superintendent Michael Kelly, and First Deputy General Counsel Timothy King are also in attendance.
This meeting will please come to order. Item number 1 from the First Deputy General Counsel, request to officially name Park 499 in honor of John Beaniak. Dorothy Carroll will address us. Hi, Dorothy.
Good morning, President Traubert, General Superintendent Kelly, and Commissioners. My name is Dorothy Carroll, and I'm counsel for the Chicago Park District. We're back again. Pursuant to Chapter 7 of the Code, it's recommended that an order be entered authorizing General Superintendent or his designee to officially name Park 499 John Beaniak Park. You may recall on June 18th, the 45-day notice period for soliciting public input was begun. Notice were posted in parks and sent to elected officials. The response to from the community, including 10th Ward Alderman John Pope, has been tremendous. We have at least 20 letters of support on file. Staff recommends that the board approve the request to name the park in honor of John Beaniak.
Okay, any questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Will the Secretary please take a roll call for the adoption of this matter?
Chair Commissioner Shelby,
Aye.
Vice Chair Commissioner Allen, President Trubert.
Aye.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
That concludes the Committee on Programs and Recreation. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried and the Committee on Programs and Recreation is now adjourned.
On this day, Wednesday, August 14, 2013, at 11:03, a meeting of the Committee on Capital Improvements of the Board of Commissioners of Chicago Park District is being held in the 8th floor boardroom of the Administration Building, located at 541 North Fairbanks. Will the Secretary please take a roll call?
Chair Commissioner Koldeck,
Here.
Vice Chair Commissioner Salgado, Commissioner Shelby,
Here.
Commissioner Lavelle,
Here.
President Trubert.
Here.
Quorum is present. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Allen, General Superintendent Michael Kelly, and First Deputy General Counsel Timothy King are also in attendance.
This meeting will please come to order. Item number 1 from the Director of Planning and Construction, authorization to enter into a contract for Maggie Daley Park renovations. Rob, Phase 2.
Thank you. Good morning. It's recommended that an order be entered authorizing the General Superintendent or his designee to enter into a contract with Walsh Construction Company 2, LLC, for Phase 2 of renovation of Maggie Daley Park. You're all familiar with the location of Grant Park downtown. Now I've presented this this plan about, this will be my fourth time presenting, so I'll go through it quickly. But it is a significant project for us, so I'll just run through it now. Maggie Daley Park consists of 3 major elements. To the north is the skating ribbon and climbing park. There's the central sweeping lawn from the south west to the northeast, as well as the large new play garden on, to the south. This is the skating ribbon and climbing park.
How long is a skating ribbon? I forget.
It is about a quarter mile, can hold around 700 people at one time. It's about twice the size of the existing ice rink. Some renderings of that park and that piece, and again in the wintertime. This is a rendering of the lawn valley that stretches through the middle. It's more of a passive space than an event space. And of course the play garden, which will be a really exciting new feature in the park. Construction of the site work is to be substantially completed by October 15th, 2014. Planting is additional planting will be completed by November of 2014, and then Peanut Park and spring planting will occur May 15th for a big grand opening in spring of 2015. The contract amount again is not to exceed $42,553,557. There's 25% minority business participation and 5% women business participation. This is the lowest of 4 bids out of our pre-qualified contractor pool. And we do have representatives from Walsh here, Jason Sparks and Mike Powers from Walsh, in case anyone has any questions from the company. Again, we recognize it's a really big project for us. Currently we're on schedule and within our budget, so this project's really well under control. We're happy with its progress, but if you have any questions, I can answer them.
This was contingent upon the parking lot operator scanning the top of this off and doing their repairs, so they've done everything that they need to do?
Yes, and actually I've got a couple more slides I can show you. This was the park prior to demolition. Again, we're on top of a garage, so after we remove the park, you can see the entire structure below. So most of the soil that we're reusing has been moved to Peanut Park. We have a mountain of soil over there. We're able to use that, re-amend it, and bring it back to the site. Currently, this is the status of waterproofing, so you can see there's probably 15% of the, maybe 20% of the garage has been waterproofed, and that continues today. So again, we'll be following shortly thereafter with the drainage systems, gravel layers, geofoam, and soil as the park is built up.
Would you, as long as we're on this, showing this phase, so we had to do this because this eventually leaked, right? And
Exactly.
Okay, so now we're putting on the waterproofing.
Mm-hmm.
What is the process of certification now that what has been done right, and that it will stand the test of time?
Sure. The garage operator is the one installing or doing some minor concrete repairs to the lid, and as well as installing the waterproofing. They'll be doing electrostatic and flood tests both to make sure that the product does not leak. So we'll be signing off on portions of the garage as they complete, and then be putting the protective barriers down as we go, so that we know that the thing is performing from day one before we put anything else on top. And this is the same waterproofing system that went on Millennium Park. It's the state-of-the-art. It's a hot applied multi-layer system, so it looks to be our best option.
Rob, clarify for the record, just so everyone's clear, who's responsible for installing the waterproofing membrane?
The garage operator.
And so if it leaks, it's their responsibility.
If it leaks,
to figure
they'll
it
have
out.
to find the spot leaks, do repairs in the future, and replace the park in those locations where they have to dig.
And is there a time period that that it's covered?
Yeah, per the garage, the agreement, the 3-party agreement between the city, the park district, and the garage operator, it's based on industry standard, engineer's best estimate for review life of the structure. So it's really based on a reasonableness. We think that the waterproofing in the park should last for another 45 years without any major problems. So this is a couple generations worth of improvement.
So Commissioner Allen will be the only one that will have to deal with that.
Can you email me the renderings? Because I've had people ask me about what this will look like.
Yeah, sure.
And I told them I thought they would love it, but I didn't have anything to show them.
Will do.
Thank you.
And Rob, this phase was done by the contractor McHugh,
Yes.
and did they bid?
They did not bid as a single entity. They did come in and bid as a joint venture, which was not actually allowed per the pre-qualified contract. So they weren't taken as one of the bids. And I should mention that we do have renderings on our website, so I can send you both a link as well as the files to forward if you'd like.
Great. Thank you.
And Rob, when you do that, the other question that comes up all the time is, what about the field house?
We're currently doing plans for a refresh of the field house that takes a look at the storefront glass system along the face of the building, as well as some simple interior reconfigurations. What we want to do is have a really open, light, flexible space to support the same kind of programs that have been there in the past, but do them a little bit better. We do have some HVAC upgrades that are coming because we're pulling new chiller service from Chicago Thermal. I forget the name of the company exactly, but it's a company that provides chiller systems, HVAC systems for several large buildings downtown, so we're taking advantage of that. And that's the same system that does the chilling for the Millennium Ice Rink.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just exciting to see the progress and how quickly it can be transformed, and just being a regular in that area, it hasn't been obtrusive, and it's exciting to see.
Me too.
All right.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Chair Commissioner Koldeck,
Aye.
Commissioner Shelby,
Aye.
Commissioner Lavelle,
Aye.
President Trevor.
Aye.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Item number 2 from the Director of Planning and Construction, authorization to enter into a contract for Fred Anderson Park development.
Thank you again. It is recommended that the General Superintendent and CEO or his designee enter into a contract with Robe Incorporated for Fred Anderson Park development. The contractor was selected pursuant to bidding. Fred Anderson Park is at 1601 South Wabash. It's a 1.08 acre park in Ward 33. This is the site. Currently undeveloped. Let me show you a photo of what it looks like. This project is also it's entered in the SRP program, so we'll be getting an environmental certificate of no further remediation with this project. Now the plan, this will be our biggest and most interesting dog park. There is a component of the plan to the north west that's really not within the dog run area. It's got a tiered stage, seating area with bulgers and naturalistic settings. And then to the south, the main entry, which is right here, is right next to this existing restaurant, and then there's a rear entry as well. And the components include a small dog area as well as a large dog area. They're separated as part of a request from the community. It has typical hardscape components, naturalistic seating areas, stones placed, as well as dog fountains and benches. We also have a water feature in this one where you have this green stretch through the middle that's artificial turf. And then there's a rivulet basically where the water comes from the stone areas through the artificial turf areas and into the drain. Not a ton of water, but there's a little bit there. So it's a pretty interesting and elaborate dog park. I should note that all of this is TIF and OSA funds. The contract amount is $1,918,460. Construction will be substantially completed by June 14th. There's 25% minority participation and 5.58% women participation in the contract. I can take any questions.
Rob, so you know what I'm going to ask you. Why are we building parks for dogs instead of putting those resources in for Chicago's kids? And where's this money coming from? And what's our philosophy about dog parks?
Yeah. The Park District doesn't fund dog parks or their maintenance. We haven't been. But where we have a lot of community requests and participation of the aldermen and support of the aldermen in the city, we will build these dog parks, and they do have a place within the system. This one is funded in part almost $500,000 from open space impact fees and $3.5 million for total project cost related to design, environmental work, etc. of $3.5 million. Our engineer's estimate for this project was $2 million, and this just squeaked right under as the low bid for this.
So the initiative, the money, the push to get this done comes from
It
the
came.
community.
It was all community driven and came to us.
Could you go back to that first slide?
Sure.
So it's not like we're giving it like a beautiful piece of parkland out for this.
No, this is a new acquisition, an environmental cleanup, and a new use for a community. I think there is quite a bit of dog ownership, and it's a new kind of project for us. It will be the nicest dog park probably in the Midwest, if not the country. For its size, it will be a really interesting, wonderful dog park. I'm sure people will enjoy it. It's not something we normally invest our own funds in.
Great, thanks for indulging my questions.
Who's Fred Anderson?
He's a jazz musician, and that request for naming also came from the community.
He was a dog fan?
I don't know if he was a dog fan or not.
It was dogs, but it was the community didn't have a problem with any combo.
So there's like a stage area? Is that literally like an outdoor music?
It is. Yeah, it's a place where you could have, small performances and people lounging.
Will people be able to hear that, or just it'll be high pitched?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Well,
Do I have anything else?
No.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
No objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter. Motion carried, and the matter is adopted.
Woof. Okay, item number 3, from the Director of Planning and Construction, authorization to enter into a contract for ADA transition plan renovation at Independence, Rutherford, Sayre, and Shabona Parks. Rob, you're on a roll.
yeah, thank you. Again, it is recommended that an order be entered authorizing the General Superintendent or his designee to enter into a contract award with Friedler Construction Company for ADA transition plan renovations at Independence, Rutherford, Sayre, and Shabona Parks. The contractor was selected pursuant to bidding. Just as some context, this is outside this particular contract, but I'd just like to note that the Park District is committed to ensuring that every person, regardless of physical or cognitive limitation, can enjoy the parks. Our scope for all of these projects has been to eliminate architectural barriers that restrict participation in the parks. We've hit 22 parks to date that champion these ADA accessibility improvements by providing maximum access throughout the park and buildings in the properties. And the renovations to date have totaled $15 million since 2007. That's just a little context. We're hitting swimming pools, wheelchair accessible seating, fieldhouse elevators, entrances, drinking fountains, showers, locker rooms, etc. So these parks are all up on the north side. Independence is in the 39th Ward, Rutherford Sayre is in 36, Shabona is in 36, and the general scope, again for these, is signage, washrooms, locker rooms, benches, electrical, doors, showers, drinking fountains, pathways, and plumbing. That general scope is included in each of these parks. And more specifically, at Independence, there's a three-stop passenger elevator, electrical service upgrades that are required for that elevator, as well as replacing the main entrance stairs. At Rutherford Sayre, we have new accessible routes to the main entrance, as well as associated masonry repairs at entrances. And then at Shabona, there's a significant amount of work above the basic, which we have a three-stop passenger elevator, ramp from the locker room to pool, lockers and benches, electrical upgrades again for the elevator, exterior ramp repairs, reception desk, fitness room expansion, and ramp in the lower level connecting the locker rooms to the fitness area. So that's the general scope. Then back to contract. The contract amount is not to exceed $3,474,800. The minority participation is 25%. Women-owned participation is 5%. And then just a note on funding. Most of the money is from SRA bond, but we also have PARC state grants for several of the for many of the locations. So Independence, we have $285,600 in state grant. And Rutherford Sayre, we have $800,000 in TIF money. In Shibona Park, we have $693,000 in state grant. And again, that's PARC. And those have been used to supplement the SRA money from the Park District for these locations. Any questions?
I would like for the record to thank the state officials that did help us with this. These projects would not have probably happened without their contributions, as well as recognize that the Chicago Park District, if we're not the leader, we're darn close to it in the country with this type of ADA restoration work.
Are there any further comments?
Have a motion.
So moved.
Second?
No objection, we'll apply the last available roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Item number 4, from the Director of Planning and Construction, authorization to issue final payment for work completed in connection with Greenbaum Park.
Again, thank you. This is a really exciting project. This is to certify that John Keno and Company, Incorporated, on June 27, 2013, completed in a satisfactory manner and in full compliance with the terms and conditions of the contract all work in connection with Greenbaum Park, new artificial turf of athletic field and playground. It's therefore recommended that an order be approved for final payment in favor of John Keno and Company in the amount of $61,898.23. The original contract amount was $2,231,618. Approved change orders were minimal, $33,324.19. So the total contract amount was $2,264,942.19. The minority participation on this contract was 26% and women-owned was 10%. Greenbaum Park is located in the 30th Ward at 4300 West Wabansia. This is the site prior to construction. So you can see Kildare runs through the actual site, separating the park property from the school property, and this project covers both park and school properties. The plan was to create an artificial turf field, multi-use field for soccer, football, etc., as well as an expanded area that would include then a baseball field, close the road, remove it, extend green space, and redo the playground and provide new basketball courts. This is the site post-construction, so you can see the aerial. This is straight from Google Earth, so you can see the size of the project. From the roof of the neighboring school, a really beautiful new field. It's going to get a lot of use. The ball field, and here you can see the basketball courts and playground.
What's the school? I forget what school that is.
You know, I forget now. Can you remember?
Nobody knows?
Having a brain glitch.
Is it?
It's the high school. But I'll find out.
All right.
I'll know by this afternoon. It's been a while. It should be noted that the funding for this project came from mostly outside sources. It was $1.987 in TIF, $1.987 million in TIF, $151,000 in OSIF funds, and $347,000 from the Park District. The entire project in total with design and construction came in just slightly under budget, about $53,000 under budget.
And I do, for the record, want to thank both Alderman Suarez and Alderman Rubrias, who were very instrumental on this project.
Gia just remembered it's North Grand High School.
North Grand.
So this is a facility that will be used by the community, also by the high school?
Exactly.
Can you just comment in general when we do, I know we're all in this together with CPS, but when we do something like this, what is our conversation with CPS to try to get their funding?
I think everyone has their own intergovernmental agreement, but again, we see the Chicago Public School kids as our kids too. And then, of course, we know that we're going to be scheduling as many community groups, soccer clubs, other groups from the outside to come in as often as possible. So our goal here is maximum use. And given the amount of funds coming from outside sources, this is a great project for us, as well as most of the land associated with the field is on CPS property. What this does is help us to expand the use of that entire area in a collaborative way to get to the most, most kids.
Yeah, it looks like a beautiful project. I'll have to get out there. It's fabulous.
Transformative in
Yeah.
that area.
Any other discussion? Can I have a motion, please?
I would move to accept.
Second.
With no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Item number 5 from the Director of Planning and Construction, authorization to issue final payment for work completed with Armour, Square, Kosciuszko, Lincoln, and McWayne Parks, the ADA transition plan upgrades.
Okay. Thank you again. More ADA work. This is to certify that Burling Builders Incorporated on December 20th, 2012, completed in a satisfactory manner and in full compliance with the terms and conditions of the contract, all work in connection with Armour Square, Kosciuszko, Lincoln, and McWayne Parks. It's therefore recommended that an order be approved for final payment in favor of Burling Builders in the amount of $1,916.01. The original contract amount was $3,113,000. We did not use we didn't use any, the total amount of contingency in the project, which was about 10%. So we have a deduct for the contract, and the total final amount is $3,080,498.41. There's 42.5% minority business participation and 6.4% women participation. So just locationally, again, Armour Square is in the 11th Ward, McWayne is in the 11th Ward, Kosciuszko is in Ward 30, and Lincoln spans wards, but you can see on the map where we're at with those. Just some snapshots of the kind of work, again, we're doing here at Armour Square: elevators as well as exterior elevator shafts, entries to the building, drinking fountains, locker rooms, washrooms, showers. These kind of projects span from park to park. Here at McGain, we have a completely new building entry that's accessible, seating out in the park, accessible routes. At Kosciuszko, a new building entry with ramps, a 3-stop elevator, also a lower level lift, and the new entry at Lincoln Park. Just a few shots, examples of what we're doing in each of these locations.
Rob, where are we with respect to completely complying in all of our parks percentage-wise?
I'll have to look into that. I don't know that off the top of my head, but we have over 500 parks. We know we have barriers. We're prioritizing with with Larry Labiak, who's our disability policy officer, to try to get the best bang for the buck, the most impact for our first phase projects, as well as looking at how we're programming throughout the parks, and providing programs in area, where they're needed. So it's a combination.
Is there a time in the mandate, though, in terms of compliance?
I'm not an expert on that, but I do believe showing significant progress and attention, which we have been doing, is what's really required. We've been very aggressive about it and continue to be. So right now, all we're getting is improved access to parks, I think an enthusiastic public, and a continued look toward the future for ongoing projects.
Okay.
And not an insignificant challenge, obviously, dealing with field houses that were built 80 to 100 years ago when they did not give a thought to this
Exactly.
issue.
Yeah. And the entire country is dealing with these issues, and I think we're taking it as seriously as anyone. So.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? A motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
No objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Item 6, Director of Planning and Construction, authorization to issue final payment for work completed in connection with Horner Park ADA transition plan upgrades.
Okay, thank you again. This is to certify that Scale Construction Incorporated on February 14th, 2013 completed in a satisfactory manner and in full compliance with the terms and conditions of the contract all work in connection with Horner Park ADA transition plan upgrades. It's therefore recommended that an order be approved for final payment in favor of Scale Construction in the amount of $79,278.04. The original contract was $968,936. We did have change orders on this contract at $209,300 $1,361. That's about 20% of the original contract, which is well above what we normally see. The total contract amount was $1,178,297. The MBE participation is 42.9%. The WBE participation is 31.3%. Again, the location of Henry Horner Park is at 2741 West Montrose in the 33rd Ward. An aerial of the plan, as well as some more shots of the kind of improvements that go in for ADA. Again, in this case, these renovations included a new elevator and supporting structure, accessible showers, lockers, and toilet rooms, removal of walls and installation of new accessible fixtures, tactile signage, new doors and hardware, removal or relocation of objects to provide a clear path of travel, installation of an accessible drinking fountain and prefabricated kitchenette. Site improvements included new bleachers, benches, hand railings, and a drinking fountain. Final payment was being withheld pending completion of all punch list items, change order work, and delivery of all required closeout documents. Now, given that we do have a significant amount of change orders for this project, I can quickly go through the nature of those. Like the amount of change orders due to errors and omissions from the AE was $66,226. The other, which would be unforeseen conditions and owner directed, would be $143,134. So the total combined again at $209,361. So E&O change orders were 6.8% and other were 14.8%. And then just to link that to where we're at overall with the ADA program, the total change orders for the entire $15 million of ADA work has been $1.2 million approximately, or 9.43%. The breakdown would be 5.33% E&Os and then 4.11% other. So that's just for the overall. So we're slightly below 10% change orders for these pretty, they're renovation projects, which are pretty rife with unforeseen conditions. So it's not a terrible picture. This particular project had more change orders than normal.
And the errors and omissions by
the architect. So if there's something that's not to code, they overlooked, like a component to the code. If there was let's say a new improvement that didn't take into account an HVAC duct or something, and there was a conflict that should have been caught in advance that requires a change, those kinds of things are E&O. If we catch it in time that we don't have to tear anything out, then we just charge the AE 10% of the cost of the change order because we don't have a competitive advantage to bid. We're working with our typical contractor. So the E&O damages that we assess to to architects typically fall within around 10% of overall change orders, construction cost change orders, as they relate to any given contract. So that's about how it usually falls.
Any other questions? Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
No objection will apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
That concludes the Committee on Capital Improvements. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried and the Committee on Capital Improvements is now adjourned.
On this day, Wednesday, August 14th, 2013, at 11:30 a.m., a meeting of the Committee of the Whole of the Board of Commissioners, Chicago Park District, is being held in the 8th floor boardroom of the Administration Building located at 541 North Fairbanks. Will the Secretary please take a roll call?
Commissioner Shalaby?
Here.
Commissioner Koldyke?
Aye.
Commissioner Lavelle?
Here.
Commissioner Salgado? Commissioner Allen?
Here.
Vice President Armstrong? President Trobert?
Here.
Quorum is present. Let the record reflect that General Superintendent Michael Kelly and First Deputy General Counsel Timothy King are also in attendance.
This meeting will please come to order. At this time, the Committee of the Whole will consider various matters which are, pursuant to the Illinois Open Meetings Act, appropriately discussed in executive session. There will be a discussion of a personal injury claim, a workers' compensation claim, and a review of executive session minutes pursuant to 5 ILCS 120, Section 2, subsection C 11, 12, and 21. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. The meeting is now in executive session.
Fourth.
August 4th.
Happy birthday
Happy
to both
birthday
of
to
you.
you. Thank you. I was out of town.
So
I
excited.
was going to send you an email. I just.
Yeah, I didn't, it was like a weird birthday.
It was on
Is there a motion to
Sunday.
return to open session?
So moved.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a second on that?
Second.
All right, great. All those in favor signify by saying aye, which you already said. And against? Motion carried. Return to open session.
The Board of Commissioners met in executive session to discuss a personal injury claim, a workers' compensation claim, and executive session minutes review. The board has the following matters of new business. There was a discussion of the settlement agreement of Joan Rapp v. the Chicago Park District in the amount of $80,000.
So moved.
Second.
Will the secretary take a roll call vote for the adoption of this matter?
Sir, Commissioner Shalaby?
Aye.
Commissioner Koldyke? Let the record reflect that Commissioner Koldyke has left the meeting. Awesome. Commissioner Lavelle?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
President Robert?
Aye.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
There was a discussion of the settlement agreement of Carlos Vega v. the Chicago Park District in the amount of $63,000.
So moved.
Second.
If no objection, will apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
There was also review of the closed session minutes as is required by the Code of the Chicago Park District, Chapter 2, Section A, subsection 16F. The Board of Commissioners, per the Code of the Chicago Park District, Chapter 2, Section A, subsection 16D, recommends the destruction of verbatim records for January 11th, 2012, February 8th, 2012. Is there a motion to approve the destruction?
So moved.
Second.
If no objection, will apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
The Board of Commissioners, per the Code of the Chicago Park District, Chapter 2, Section A, subsection 16F2, also recommends the release of the following executive session minutes for public inspection: January 16th, 2013, February 13th, 2013, May 8th, 2013, June 13th, 2013. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
If no objection, will apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
That concludes the meeting of the Committee of the Whole. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those against? Motion carried. The Committee of the Whole is now adjourned.